Hey everyone, I've got Bruce Logrus Bonnick here on Mumble to chat about Citadel Studios Shards Online, which was successfully had its campaign finished on Kickstarter and is well in the throes towards pre-alpha for all the backers that paid into that. So say hello, Logrus.
Hello everyone, this is Bruce, otherwise known as Logrus. I'm the lead systems designer for Shards Online.
Cool. And so I did send you some questions, made sure they're all okay, so we'll just go through them. What exactly is it you do? You're the lead systems designer, so you basically building the game and letting Supreme take all the glory.
No, not at all. Supreme does the important work.
Bringing it all together.
Yeah, he does the engine, the major coding. Most of my work is done in Lua script, so most of my stuff didn't even make it into the game until there was a solid foundation of everything else working.
Cool. And there's something I need to ask that I've been wanting to ask. Everyone knows you have a love of spreadsheets, something you've talked about often. And I was just wondering why. Why do you like spreadsheets?
Well, I've been making games for quite a while. Started in high school with D&D, learning basic and to make games and trade with friends. And as I've been a gamer for a long time and progressing through games, I've found that a lot of games, regardless of how good they are, how fun they are, there are a lot of improvements that can be made, and it tends to be to the mechanics or rules that drive the game. And I think that one of the difficulties is that no one ever approaches those properly. They tend to be either overcomplicated or not well thought out enough.
And you think spreadsheets helps you simplify it?
So the main theory, and this is where the spreadsheets come in, is that I think that a proper game system or game theory should translate across mediums. So the same system that you use in D&D should translate to a video game, should translate to a board game, should translate to dice, whatever final implementation you have.
Okay. I'm assuming you do all those kind of calculations and formulas using spreadsheets, basically.
Exactly. So basically the spreadsheets have the formulas and the test data, and that allows me to mathematically predict what should be happening in the game.
Okay, and then see if there's any issues as well.
Exactly.
Cool.
So like with Shards Online, the equipment and combat system, I can load the weapons in and select weapons and see what the damage is, how often you're going to hit, how hard you're going to hit against what type of armor.
That's cool. See, I'm just a basic spreadsheet user. I'm lucky if I can build a table that says, I've got this number, let's add them together.
Well, the funny thing is, I kind of learned spreadsheets just to be able to do that. Initially, it started out as a single spreadsheet with a little bit of formulas, and I realized, well, having to go and change it in every single place every time I changed the formula, that got difficult. Or having to change my data set every time and then go individually identify it. So it started off as a very basic spreadsheet, which then got more complicated as I learned more to do more.
Yeah, it grew arms and legs. And several
Definitely
pages.
Took off.
Cool. So I know from reading your background on the Citadel Studios website that you worked on one of the games that was a major part of my life, Ultima Online. Is that how you met Supreme and Draconian and ended up where you are now, or is there more to it?
Yeah, that's definitely how I got into it. I played UO for a number of years, since beta, actually.
Wow.
And when I don't know if you know Sakara Regine.
I think I know the name.
I played a lot with her, and she went to work on Ultima Online, and after she'd been there for a while, she said, "Hey, there are positions open, you should apply."
Cool.
So I applied and interviewed, and I was able to impress them enough by guessing at the way stuff was coded and the way stuff worked. And they said, "Well, it seems like you know enough about it, and you have a good idea of how we've coded it, even though you haven't seen the code." So they brought me on.
That's quite impressive because apparently the code for Ultima is a bit, well, it's not the easiest. Supreme's mentioned that in the past.
Definitely. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I'm assuming that as Supreme and Dracode left, and they obviously saw that, and asked you along for the ride for Shards Online, I take it.
Yeah, right before Stygian Abyss is when I started
Okay.
with UO, and I met Draconi and Supreme then.
Cool.
And I was there on and off for the next few years through High Seas.
Cool. I'm just trying to look through the questions, try and find a logical order here. Have you come across anything that you've not managed to make work as you wanted it to while coding or doing anything, or not coding, system designing Shards?
That's an interesting question. I think that I have a troubleshooting background.
Okay.
And that's both for in IT as well as in the game system. So what I tend to do from a design perspective is I'll come up with a base design, and then I will do a capability analysis to see what I can actually do, and then I adapt my design based on what I can actually do. So usually my design gets adapted to the point that I don't have to worry whether I can or can't do something.
All right, so you never really have that issue because you're continuously reviewing as you go.
Exactly. So there are some things that I cannot do, but it's not so much a limitation of the design, but maybe a system limitation.
Okie dokie. So in other words, what you're saying is, if it's going to work, you'll make it work.
Exactly.
Cool. What's been your biggest challenge as the systems designer? What out of the systems we've seen so far? So you don't give any spoilers about what you're working on. What's been the biggest thing? The most difficult or biggest system?
I think the combat system is the biggest, but since I definitely have a passion for the combat aspect of the game, it was challenging but fun.
That's cool. Well, I suppose that's the one you've got to get right. That's what people base a lot on. If the combat's balanced, etc.
Definitely, I think more as a whole rather than one particular system. The biggest challenge is to keep it simple, but make it extremely flexible and changeable.
Well, especially in a game like Shards Online, where you're going to be able to mod, you want sort of the baselines to be pretty straightforward, and anyone can up it, down it, sideways it.
Exactly. We want to be able to provide a framework that allows people to change it the way they want to, but at the same time, we don't really want to create we don't want to create rails for people to run on. We want people to really completely do what they want to do.
Cool. Yeah, and also if people want to keep it vanilla, it's still a system in itself.
Exactly. So we're trying to get it to the point where we're providing the ability, we're providing a track, we're providing the ability to build your own track, without using anything that we have, or use as much as we have that you want.
That's cool. So keeping it simple and satisfying.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty of balance there.
So obviously you've said you got a big passion for the combat side. So my next question really might have answered this. What do you think has or will be your favorite part of Shards to work on?
Combat, definitely combat.
Cool. Um, so is there been anything else other than combat?
Oh well, actually, I think that one thing that Shards has done, because we're building it from the ground up, we have the opportunity to not give ourselves restrictions, which is completely different from UO. There was a lot of stuff that either couldn't be done in UO or couldn't be done in the way you wanted, because it required so many changes to the core way that the game functioned. We can build stuff in Shards without that.
Yeah, and because you guys are doing it, you're not restrained by major corporations that won't be mentioned. You're limitless in terms of what you can do as long as you have the passion to put it in.
Exactly, it's a huge deal. Some of the fun stuff, is like, ignoring combat but going to crafting. Um, the work towards the crafting system is proving to be fun and interesting as well. Even though I don't tend to play a crafter in many games, I'm able to um, find ways that make it interesting to me and hopefully players as well, so that crafters can have just as much fun doing crafting.
That's cool. Um, so next thing, you spend a lot of time on the forums and IRC and stuff. So do you secretly want to be a community manager, or have you been one in the past, or are you just that friendly a guy?
Have no desire to be a community manager. Don't really want to. It's a love and hate relationship with the community. I'm not necessarily that friendly a guy, but I have learned that, if you develop in a bubble, you might end up being the only person who enjoys what you produce.
That's a good answer. I like that. Um,
Uh, when I was with UO team, there was less interactivity encouraged. So I wasn't able to be as open with the community as I would have liked to be. And so many changes that I would have liked to make in game, either I was unable to make, or they came about later in the design phase. One thing that has come about simply from interactivity with the community here is I'm able to say, this is what I'm working on. What are your ideas on it?
yeah, and that gives you an idea of what we want, and there's no point you designing something for it to you loving it and then them saying, actually, that's not a great idea. Why didn't you do this?
Exactly. And also it's allowed me to see new ideas. So like, I've thrown systems out and redone them simply because, oh wow, that was such a great idea. I don't see why I wouldn't design something with that capability in there, and that came from the community.
That's really good. It's good because out of all communities I've seen, you guys seem to be really really in there, chatty, and getting involved with the community. If you didn't have the CS after your name, you'd think you were just a fan giving your ideas rather than telling you what you've been working on.
Definitely, we are fans. We are fans of the game. It's kind of biased, but yeah, we're just as much fans as you guys. And having these open discussions has really been helpful to us. I definitely know that if you look back in my UO days, you might find some discussions on plan changes or patches that were released. And I had my opinions on it, and some of my opinions changed based on what players thought about it.
That's good. I know when I played you and I was involved with the community, I felt there could have been more open discussions with them. So it is really refreshing to see people who I would have hoped to have seen in the UO forums and chats and stuff. That it wasn't the person. It was more just whatever you had on at the time or whoever it was. So it's good to see you guys who all worked on UO are really involved with the community.
Definitely, I think that the community is probably the most important part of Shards. I mean, it is basically a community project.
Yep, I definitely agree. It doesn't feel like your game; it feels like our game. If that makes any sense.
No, I understand completely.
So, out of curiosity, has there been anything that you've pushed to be included in the game, or alternatively, anything you've thought, no, we really shouldn't have that?
Um, let's see. I honestly can't say anything that has been. I think we have a pretty good idea, and we're all kind of very. We have open discussions between us as well. So we tend to put up ideas and propose them and push them. And a lot of the times, if it's a good idea, we everyone kind of jumps on board. So we haven't really had to push for too much. I think that's definitely a difference with the larger development firms. You don't have to push a good idea through
You don't have to
because
argue your
we're open
case,
to it.
basically.
Well, you can argue it, but it typically isn't a one champion driving force.
That's good. So basically, what you're saying is, if you're thinking of a good idea, the chances are the others are thinking it too. It's just a case of getting it out there.
Right. If I say here's why I think we should do it, and here's how I think it benefits, and here's how it'll be fun, then they'll either get behind it. They might raise some questions or concerns, um, but so far we don't have to push through things like, well, if we do that, how are we going to make money off it, or how are we going to monetize this? That's been it's been the goal to how are we going to make the game fun? How does this improve the game?
Again, that's the bonus of not being big corporations. It's not all about the money as such. If you make a good game, that you'll you'll get where you need to be in that respect.
Of course, and we have a huge list of features, capabilities that are in our backlog that we'd like to put in. It might require quite a bit of effort, but we think add stuff to the game. And we always want to continue to develop and improve these because ultimately, whatever we make, will improve our game. But everything that the community makes will just be a whole other level of magnitude than what we do. And the more tools that players have, the more popular the game comes as a whole. And that's not just what we do officially, but what players create as well.
So once you've obviously got the game situated and it's ready, playable, say come 2016, end of 2016, we've got our game launch, etc. It's sort of the next phase, looking at the tools and the UIs that we can use to do things to Shards to make it easy. Because I know from my point of view, I have no coding capability, no LUA scripting, anything like that. I see the word LUA and I start to feel queasy.
Well, part of our ongoing plans are to keep improving, and that's the model for Shards is there is Shards, the official game. There's Shards, the platform as well. So our improvements are not just to the game, but we plan on improving the platform as well, and that means tools and capabilities for the community to use as well.
That's really good. I like that definition of it. Definition of it: shards the game and shards the platform. That's a very good way of putting it. So something I asked Mileda. Two questions, kind of one question rolled, two rolled into one, should I say? What stretch goal were you most happy about reaching, and what stretch goal were you most disappointed about not reaching during the Kickstarter campaign?
Let me pull up the goal list so I can
Sounds very similar to what Mileda
speak
said.
to it.
I'm pulling them up as well because I
Okay.
can't remember.
Okay, I think my most my most wished for stretch goal was diable equipment.
So that's the one you're most disappointed didn't make it.
Yes, definitely.
What about out of the ones that made it? Which one are you most happy that made it?
Probably cooking. I mean, really, cooking is the one that I'll have the most work to do with. Um, but yeah, probably cooking.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be one that's busy for you. So how do you make it innovative and fun?
Definitely.
Is one thing. I know from a UO point of view, it was relatively simple. Although it was a skill in itself, it was quite simple. It was getting the ingredients, etc. I think I only ever completed cooking once on one character.
I'll honestly say that I found cooking to be a bit of a pain in the butt, and mostly it was to completely that my only use for cooking was to make stuff that I was going to use in PvP.
Yeah, like potions, etc., etc. I think that's the only reason I trained it as well. I think I had a vendor that sold the stuff.
Yeah, so I wanted to get away from that, and really what we're doing with the resource gathering and the crafting um, is trying to make them interesting in and of themselves, so people get excited about going to craft.
Cool. And well, here's another one. Something for you. What's the strangest thing someone's ever in the community has asked for? So, out of every suggestion, idea plucked from ether, what has been the strangest thing someone's asked for?
That's kind of hard. I wouldn't be able to lay my finger on one thing. I think that the probably the weirdest thing that I think we've heard is hmm, I'm really not sure. I think that one of the things with the community requests and community questions is that we still have a lot of people who I don't think have grasped the the customizability of shards, just because there's no game that really has put as much effort into the extent of the customizability. So we get a lot of questions about behaviors um, or things that people can do in the game, when the answer to 90% of those questions is you can script it, you can do it.
That's a good motto to live by. I mean, a lot of games out there can be edited, modded, etc. But not many games give you the capability to do it. They don't hand that to you on a plate like you guys are doing, basically.
Well, also it's the extent. You could turn shards into a driving game if you wanted.
That would be quite cool. the horse races.
Yeah, you could do that. It doesn't have to be, merely changing stuff and keeping it in the same genre or theme that we have. You're really able to completely change it. One of my goals that I'd like to do if I had time on the side would be to create a turn-based version of the game.
See, that's what I can see. Like a blank space where you just literally put anything you want. You're a
And
little ball of light, and you literally just build it.
and you can do that. So it's not. It's. I think the obstacle to what you can do in Shards the way it is not so much what the capabilities granted to you by the tools and the exposure of everything in the game, but rather what you can do with your expertise and your time.
That's cool. So yeah, I mean, it's quite good to hear that there isn't really any strange requests, because it means everything that you've heard has made sense. It's been something you thought, yeah, we could do that. Also, you're also saying you could do that too.
Yes, exactly.
I quite like that.
There are two shard ideas that I'd really like to do. One would be a turn-based shard. Actually, three. A turn-based shard, something like Metal Gear Solid where you sneak around, and finally a superhero shard.
That'd be cool. Right, that would be really cool. Yeah, I think I could get behind those. See, I'm very much, when people suggest all these mods to try for various other games, I'm very much a vanilla game player. I like to play whatever the official rule set is. I don't know why, just what I like to do. So, but I could see myself trying other things at least.
Oh, definitely. I think that one of the exciting things will be what the community come up with, not as alternative, necessarily alternative content, but just the alternative systems.
Yeah, see, because that would also be interesting to see you guys bring out your game. If people make instant tweaks, well, you might even learn something to say, well, why didn't we do that? In the first place.
Exactly. One of the discussions on the board now is the custom spellcrafting, on the fly spellcrafting. I think that's quite interesting. As a matter of fact, we discussed it early on. We have a draft system for that, but that wouldn't really work in the combat that we have now if you had to, keep hitting keys to combine your spells on the fly. That would get tedious really quick, and it would take away from the way we want the combat to play out. It's not that it's a bad system, it just doesn't work for what we want.
Cool. So I said I wouldn't keep you too long, so I've just got one last question. Feel free to answer as much as you want and forget that you might not be allowed to. But do you have any spoilers? I like the silence.
Let's see. Spoilers.
Feel free.
I don't know what
Feel free to send me anything and everything you're allowed to.
For me, it's not so much that they're spoilers. I just forget that I'm not supposed to tell anybody about stuff.
To be fair, I think most of the Citadel Studios team do that. We've seen that happen a few times.
Yeah, we get excited about it. Let's see. If you've looked at the dev videos, you've probably seen a little bit into Petra, the main city of Celador.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Just looking up the videos now. Just to keep everyone in the know. Obviously, this is for Shards Online, and you can go to their forums, the IRC. They've got YouTube. All you have to do is go to shardsonline.com, and you'll find links to everywhere. You can also pledge at the moment. That's back on. To get in pre-alpha, which means you will play as soon as you can. I think is it $75, and that gets you in, from the word go, which I think is pretty soon, I believe.
Yes, there will be. Pre-alpha is well, it's we're in pre-alpha now, so we will be doing focused playtests over the period of pre-alpha, and hoping to get you guys in to test what we're working on. Come and break it.
That's a good challenge. I know there's a few people who love to do that. Um, I just tend to just play the game, and if I find a bug, I'll tell you. But yeah, definitely check out shardsonline.com and come find us on the forums. I'm Dusty MacD on there, and Logrus is Logrus_CS, and as are all the team. They have _CS on there, on the end of their name. So I'll let you go because I've kept you for half an hour now. That's plenty of time.
That's right. It's been a pleasure.
Just who would you suggest I badger for the next wee chat?
Well, Draconi is cooking up some really exciting lore, which is already playing into one of the main live events that we'll have in the game. It's a world-altering live event. So that's a little bit of a spoiler for you. And Supreme is hard at work, and as I said, he's kind of the guy that is the foundation for everyone else's work. So he's doing a lot of optimizations. He's messing with and creating with new systems as well. So very exciting if you can poke one of those guys into getting in and interviewing.
Well, you could always trick them. Just have a chat with them in a room, and I'll chat to the point where they can't hear me, and we'll just I'll secretly send you messages to ask questions. You just don't have to tell them. But no, I'll try badgering one of them or both of them. That'd be good.
That would be a spoiler session. There would be so many spoilers coming out of that.
A little fly on the wall. It wouldn't be difficult to do. We'll chat about that. Anyway, thank you very much, Logrus. It's been fun, and I will no doubt chat to you some more on the IRC and forums.
Look forward to it.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.